Everybody, I'm assuming right now, if you're seeing this, you are watching the replay because I don't think we have anyone with us live just yet.
Yeah.
We are so excited.
Let's make sure that we're actually live. Yes, we are. Okay, perfect. So I'll give everybody a second to jump in
and connect. You guys are so lucky today because you get to chat with Lori and Vickie.
I know. I'm so excited. It's been so long since we did a live in here together, like a year or more.
Almost a year. Yeah, that's true. We did a speaker spotlight about a year ago, and then we did a live on Instagram, I think, but it's been a while. So you get the chance to speak with two digital nomads. Lori and I have been traveling full time. Lori, how long have you been traveling full time?
Technically, I guess almost 3 years, almost to like the day. Like this week, 3 years ago was when we left where we currently are right now in the Virgin Islands and started the digital nomad life. We were doing the kind of more, it's not expat because it's a U.S. territory really, but more of the expat life before that. But yeah, 3 years being fully location independent or homeless, if you want to say. You at least have your boat, so you're not technically homeless, I guess. You always have your home with you, but yeah, we have not been home in 3 years.
3 years. And how long have you been remote based, like working online?
So let's see, 4 years. Yeah, almost 4 years. 4 years, 100% remote based. Part-time remote based for 7, where I kind of went in and out, like went all in on my business when we first moved here to the Virgin Islands and had to go back to work and kind of rode the roller coaster.
And did that. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I just want to say, before we jump in, I have a bunch of questions for you. I'm so excited to talk about freedom versus security, because as a mindset coach, something that I've observed is that a lot of people feel like they need to choose between freedom and security. And I think both of us are like living examples that it's possible to have freedom and security. And I just want to normalize that one is not better than the other. A lot of people like romanticize or glorify freedom, but freedom without security is not freedom. If you're free, if you have freedom of time and location, but you're always stressed and you're always in a state of worry and you don't feel safe, you're not really free, right? You're trapped by your worries. So that's why I really want this live to help people see that it is possible to have this freedom-based lifestyle and still feel safe. So before I jump into my questions for you, I just want to invite, if anybody has any questions about how to create security, please drop them throughout the live. And whether it's like, if you're watching the replay, Lori and I will take a time to answer all of your questions.
Absolutely. Make sure, let us know if you're watching the replay. We will definitely come back. And good morning, Dana. Thank you so much for joining us. And also, because we are digital nomads, just throwing this out there, anybody who's watching now or in the replay, let us know where you're joining us from. And if you are already a digital nomad, we would love to hear that too. Or if you're aspiring, let us know. Because as Vickie said, that's what we're both doing, and we know that we have so many people in this audience that are either already digital nomads or are aspiring digital nomads. So let us know where you're joining us from, and maybe even where you want to go. South Texas, woohoo! What do we got there? South Texas, Dana, love it.
Yeah, I guess we didn't even say that. Like, Lori, where are you right now, and where is your next destination?
Okay, so I am currently in the U.S. Virgin Islands on the island of St. Croix. Hold on, people see my content a lot, but I'm going to move my camera so I can show you. So that's where I am right now. Hello, everybody. Okay, and where am I going next? I don't know. We're here for at least like 2 more months, and then from there I guess our next destination will probably be going back to Wisconsin, which is where we're from, because I have a speaking engagement at the end of May. But then from there, we're not sure.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Yeah, we're not too far. I'm currently in Martinique, and we're debating if we're going to Dominica this weekend or not. There's a good weather window. For those of you who don't know, I know Lori mentioned it, but I live on a beautiful sailboat, and yeah, we're wondering if we're going to Dominica or not. And then we're definitely sailing back down south all the way to Trinidad and Tobago before hurricane season. So that's our plan on our side.
Okay, is that where you keep your boat for hurricane season then?
Yeah, that's Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, awesome. It's like we're so close, but we're so far still.
Next year, I'm going to make it up to the British Virgin Islands, hopefully with a brand new motor in Yellowbird. So I guess I'm going to jump into my questions. And again, if anyone's watching, please drop them, because we're here to give you the most value that we can, right? So aside from financial costs, what are some of the costs of being a digital nomad?
Okay. So that is a good question, because it's something I think a lot of people don't consider. So where do I begin? I know that it's possible that some of my friends and family are, in here watching, but, one of the cost is sometimes relationships, and in multiple fashions. When I first started, it was, the doubt from, and the fear from family, saying kind of like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to give up your job, and you have all of this security, and, you have insurance, and you have this, and kind of those feelings of, my people don't believe in me. So that's one major cost I know that I've experienced. And also on the other side of that is relationships with your friends and family. And living a digital nomad lifestyle can be amazing, and you can meet so many people. But it can get a little lonely, because you're coming and going all the time, right? So you build these relationships with people, and then you have to leave them, or they leave you because they're also nomads. So relationships are a big piece of that. And again, just not having the backing of your friends and family was something for me that was a struggle. Now, a few years in, they're all very supportive of what I'm doing. Although I think my parents probably still are like, okay, get your shit together, Lori. But, that's okay.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think relationships is a big one. And I'd like to add, for me, one of the big costs has been stability, routines, and even professionalism. Like, I used to be the most freaking professional employee, collaborator, business owner. And now sometimes, like, living this lifestyle, one of the costs of living this lifestyle is that sometimes the cafe that I'm working in will close, and I'm being kicked out while in the middle of a client call, or I don't have the internet that I'm hoping to. Sorry, I'm going to move on because that might be loud. That I'm hoping to have, or I get to a new place and there's no cafe to work from, and my computer is not charged anymore. So professionalism has definitely been one of the costs for me. And finding the people that are inspired by my life and understand that my lifestyle comes with problems. So that was definitely one of the costs. And then, routine and stability, like finding places to work out, being able to eat always the same foods, when you're on the move. You need to be ready for all those challenges if you're considering a traveling lifestyle.
So, I just want to kind of like some of those, like for me, as you said, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even like consider those things. But like, yes, we have, I don't know off the top of my head here, but who, said something about the view. And yes, we have an amazing view here, but one of the costs here is that our internet is sometimes unstable, and also that we're on an island where power outages are frequent, especially here because we're out in like kind of the sticks, I guess you could say, in the country part of the island. So we're one of the last places to get restored if power goes out. And if power goes out, I don't have internet and I can't work. And trust me, I've had that happen. I had it happen too, like in the middle of an Instagram live. And it was so embarrassing because, like you said, professionalism just kind of goes out the window and you just have to deal with it. And yes, it looks glamorous sometimes from the outside, but there are considerations that we don't really think about, I think.
Amazing, amazing. So those were the non-financial costs of this lifestyle. If we jump into the actual financial, because I know that like feeling safe inside of your body, for a lot of people, it comes with having a secure cash flow, having clients coming in. So my first question for you is, do you budget, or do you just go to a new place and, you know, don't plan your financials beforehand?
Well, if I'm being honest, it's probably a little bit of a mix. So I am definitely more of a free flowy, go fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. My husband is not. If my mother-in-law is out there watching, you raised a very financially smart son. So we balance each other out a little bit because I'm just like, ooh, this looks cool. Let's go do this. Let's go here. And then Ben reminds me, like, okay, well, the cost of groceries are like 50% higher there. It's going to cost us, $100 a day if we need a car or any, like these little like hidden costs that you don't think of. And okay, like if we don't have internet where we're at, then you're going to be spending $10 a day on coffee so that you can sit in a cafe and work, and just these little considerations that you don't think about and plan for and budget. So to answer your question, I budget loosely, to know some of those things. And then I count on my husband sometimes to point out my gaps.
Teamwork is so important when it comes to budgeting, and I think that's a big element. Like, people often ask me how much money I had saved up, or how much cash flow I'm making per month and all that, or how much money I'm spending while I'm traveling. But the reality is that that amount will change so much depending on your lifestyle, right? If you eat like smoked salmon and caviar versus if you're willing to have a grilled cheese 3 nights a week, like your grocery budget or your food budget is going to be completely different. If you have kids and you're traveling with kids, it's going to be completely different. If you have a partner who you're splitting costs with, who is helping you keep you on track budget wise, it's going to be hella different. And it's going to be hella different if you're in Paris, which I've done, South Korea, or Peru. Like, these are 3 destinations that I've been to, and my budgeting work was completely different.
Completely different. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And
one myth I'd love to sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Like, one myth I'd love to debunk is that working online and traveling, depending on where you're living in the world, might actually be less expensive than where you're from. Research in terms of destinations that you're going to, you need to do research in terms of how much you're spending, because people often like associate travel to vacation. But like, when travel is your lifestyle, it's not a vacation anymore. So you're not eating out of the restaurant every day. You're not doing like crazy expensive excursions or taking taxis. You're taking the bus, you're working in little cafes, or from like a hostel or Airbnb, or maybe you're with trusted house sitters and you're sitting a house. So like, the travel lifestyle does not have to be expensive, depending on what choices you're making in terms of your lifestyle and in terms of your destination.
Yeah, I agree. I think, before you, and I mean, and even like for those of you who aren't travelers and you're just remote-based business owners, it's the same thing, because it's, even if you're at one destination, it's how you plan and how you spend your money. And for me, we don't go out to eat a lot. I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, other things free. My husband is vegan, so it can be really tough for us to eat out. So we don't eat out a lot. So we have to kind of consider the cost of groceries. But for us, that might be cheaper or more expensive depending on the destination. If you're, in Thailand, where you can order, like, go to get super cheap street food, and you can eat with your diet there, it could be really cheap. So you have to consider all of these things. And yeah, if you're going out all the time and having drinks, or you're, buying all organic and, gluten-free, vegan, expensive crap, that's not just straight up produce, it might be expensive. And if you don't consider those things, it can be kind of a shock, but life can be cheaper depending on where you are, for sure. Like if you are going to, say, Mexico, and you're going to Mexico City, it's going to be much cheaper than someone who's going to Paris. And if you are someone who, is living in San Francisco, your lifestyle is going to probably be much more expensive than mine here in the Virgin Islands. So it really is about what you want to do and how you want to live your life. Or maybe it's just that you want to be able to stay home with your kids and have the freedom to travel, and you have a more frugal lifestyle so you can budget. So budgeting is really about your lifestyle and finding those things first.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm reading the question before I jump on to this question. I just want to say also which currency you're being paid value money than what the locals are making. So you also want to take that into consideration. Like if you're working online, you get to be paid in US dollars or in euros, depending on who's your target audience. And that exchange rate will also give you a huge leverage in terms of your lifestyle. So a person is asking, I run a financial business that is mostly based online. Do you find that people are able to live this traveling lifestyle but still run their US-based business in countries that are highly regulated from other countries? Okay, so one thing, if you're in another country and you're on a tourist visa, so depending on where you're from in the world, like these can be super easy or more difficult to acquire. But technically, if you're on a tourist visa, they don't give a crap what you're working on your computer. Like I've been to 12 countries in the last 12 months. I never told the country what I was working on or what I was doing. I have clients in Russia, I have clients in Armenia, in Canada, in France, and in the US. What's important is that whichever country that you are a tax resident, which is not the same as residency, by the way, you could be resident in a country and pay tax residency in another country. What's important is that you declare your work there and that you know the regulations in that country. For example, for me, I'm a tax resident of Canada, and it's very good for me because all of my services are paid in US dollars. So I get a bit more money in the exchange rate, and I don't need to charge taxes to my clients. Whereas if I had clients in Canada, I would need to charge them the local taxes. And by the way, like if you're part of the support strategy and support society with Lori and I, like these are things that we can help you with. We can help you figure out all of these logistics. We can help you figure out which destinations would be best for you to travel to, because we have that experience, because we're well traveled. So thank you for your questions. Your question, and I hope that answered it properly. And Lori, if you want to jump in.
That was Dana too that asked that. So we're in we can't see necessarily who is leaving them. So I'm just kind of flipping back and forth to a Facebook group so we can see that. But yeah, exactly what Vickie said. I would agree with that. And it varies by country and the type of visa. There are a lot of countries too that have digital nomad visas. So if you're wanting to stay somewhere for a longer period of time on a digital nomad visa, you want to make sure that you are paying attention to whatever those regulations are for that specific country. But most of them, as long as, again, you're paying your income taxes, and not just like the sales tax, but like your income taxes on the income you're bringing in your home country, most of those countries don't care unless you are, one thing, I guess, and neither of us are attorneys or financial experts, have to do that disclaimer there. But one thing to also consider is if you have clients in that destination. So for instance, Vickie mentioned like she has clients in the US. So if she's in the US may then ask her to pay taxes on that. But if she's just on a tourist visa for a very short-term visit, then yeah, like you said, they're not going to know what you're doing on your computer. They don't care. You're a visitor. It's just like a person who has a 9-to-5 job and goes on vacation and brings their laptop with them and works. Do you have to pay taxes on your job because you're in there working? So, just know the laws and considerations, but you can absolutely travel. There's so many of us doing this, and the United States in particular. Vickie's from Canada. I'm from the US. The US does make it a little more difficult than some other countries. But definitely, I would say, if you have questions, consult with your accountant. I have a great one, by the way, if you need one that practices in, I think, all of the states in the U.S. So, and yes, we have a question too. Can you explain what a digital nomad is for those that are just plugging in it for the first time? Absolutely, absolutely. That's Dana as well. Vickie, you want to go for that one?
Yeah, sure. So a digital nomad, let's just split the word in two. Digital basically means that you work online. Nomad simply means that you're not as stable staying in one place. As simple as that. So Lori and I both work online and we both travel at the same time that we're working. And it's a pretty awesome lifestyle. I know not everybody wants to travel. A lot of people want freedom, of time and place. I guess Lori and I just chose to use that freedom of time and place to be able to move around and explore the world a bit more, which is why we're very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Lori, I have another question for you because I see the time running, and this is the juiciest question.
Okay.
So before I ask my juicy question, would you like to invite everybody to our networking tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that are tuning in live or that are tuning in before Wednesday, March 22nd at 10 a.m. Eastern, that we are hosting a networking event here in the Build and Scale community. And for those watching this on another platform, because we are multi-streaming right now, you just send me a message and I can give you the link, or Vickie a message, and we can get you the details to get registered. But we do have it's called Entrepreneur Excursion in honor of us travel lovers to network, get to know each other, have a little bit of fun. And let me tell you, Vickie and I co-host this now every month. And Vickie's spin on networking is different than a lot of the other online networking that you've done. She does it in a way that is fun. So if you have not attended, and even if you have, of course, too, we would love for you to join us. It's tomorrow, Wednesday, March 22nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time. There is an event inside of the Facebook group, and there is a link in there to register. So make sure you do that. And then otherwise, if you're watching this elsewhere, feel free to message us and we'll get you that link so that you can come in, meet us, as well as other entrepreneurs, especially remote-based entrepreneurs, travel lovers, because whether you're a digital nomad or not, whether you're aspiring digital nomad, or you just want more freedom and want the ability to travel more, because some of you, that's all you want. You want to stay home and work, but you want the freedom to be able to travel and you still have a home base. This is what this community is for and what the networking is for. And who put that comment in there about Manu? Yes, Vickie's networking events are amazing. For anyone who's not done them yet, you're correct, Manu. They are amazing.
Amazing.
So,
thank you.
You all to join us.
Yes, I hope you do join us. Everyone, excursion, come have some fun. And let's jump into my really juicy question. So if you've made it up to 23 minutes of this live, and I know it's a question that a lot of people have on this group.
Okay.
According to you, your expertise, I'm going to answer it too, but I want you to go first. How much cash flow does an entrepreneur need before they can start the digital nomad lifestyle? Like, what do you think? How much a business should be generating in terms of cash flow before they can be like, hell yes, I'm ready. I'm going to buy this plane ticket and move my ass on the other end of the world.
So going back to, our earlier, conversation about different places have different price points. So what I like to tell people first is to try to have a rough idea of where you want to go and the cost of living in those places. And that's going to tell you kind of what your monthly income is going to need to be. And don't just do one, because if you plan to travel to multiple places, and if your first place is Mexico, and okay, I can live on $1,500 US per month, But then from there, then you're going to Singapore, which is like super expensive. You can't live on $1,500 a month in Singapore. You'll be lucky if you can find a place to live for like 2 weeks in Singapore for that. So know where you're going, but in terms of the amount of cash flow, if you do not have another income outside of your business that is steady, I would say that you're going to want to, depending on where you're going, let's say you're going to Mexico, it's going to be based on that, but you want at least a somewhat predictable income. And that's not saying that every month is the same, because one month you might have $10,000 a month and the next month you might have 3. So part of building a business that allows you the freedom of time and location is learning how to properly budget, like we were talking about earlier, and to know your expenses of where you're going. So I mean, I know there's no direct answer, I guess is what I'm saying, because for me here in the Virgin Islands, like monthly grocery expense is probably, and again, we're gluten free and vegan and have a lot of dietary restrictions, so our food can be a little more expensive, but we probably spend $1,000 a month just on groceries here, because it's like 30 to 50% higher than where we were in the States and Wisconsin. So that's a consideration. So know those types of things and do your research. And I would also, sorry, and this is a really long answer to your juicy question, but yeah, I mean, have the other pieces, talking about, feeling safe. What do you need to feel safe when it comes back to your cash flow? Because some people are totally fine just scrounging and saying, I'll figure it out and I'll grab freelance stuff and I'll come up with money. But someone else might say, if I don't have $10,000 in the bank and in savings, I'm going to constantly be afraid of running out of money. And I get that. Like I have consulting income that's somewhat consistent, and I know that I can count on that. So it's okay that I flex in other areas. And you need to know that about yourself, to know how you're going to react and what you need to feel safe when it comes to cash flow. So know your expenses and know what you need.
Yes. I loved your answer, and I love that we're getting a lot of traction in the chat. I know like money is always a taboo and juicy subject. And I love what you said, is that it's all about what you need to feel safe. I personally do not need to have, like, I have my savings, I have my placements, but I don't need to have like $10,000 cash in my bank account. It's not something that I personally need to feel safe. And that's why I was able to drop everything, sell my car, sell my apartment, and move on to a sailboat. Personally, for me, cash flow, and I don't know if you use the same like language, but for me, cash flow is what you're able to make consistently in your business every month. So it's kind of like the minimum. Like for me, like I've had 10K months, I've had 18K months, and I've had 2K months. 2K is usually my minimum. So my cash flow is 2K. I know my business is able to generate more, but my cash flow is 2K. Those are my lowest months. And I know that I can live and travel easily, comfortably on 2K. With 2K, I have enough for my food. I have enough for my travel visas. I have enough to pay for mentors, right? Like what you offer, the Strategy and Support Society really fits well in a travel budget of 2K. So that is my reality, which is why I'm like happy to share it with everybody. For me,
and I mean, I'm happy to share like my actual numbers too, because like you, like I flux. I mean, there's been months where I make 2,000, or where I make well, I haven't had a $2,000 month in a while, I guess, but there are definitely months that flux, and it might be like, okay, one month is 5K and one month is 20K or 25 or whatever, and it's knowing what you need to survive. Like for me, a consideration is I have a team, right? And I have to pay my team. So beyond just my normal expenses, I have to like have a minimum, like 2K just to pay my team. And then my living expenses and everything else above and beyond that. So know what your expenses are. And then, like I said, the savings, yes, that's not the cash flow necessarily, but knowing that like you need to know about yourself. If you're somebody who is okay, like Vickie, not having a savings, or me, if I see my savings dip below 10K, I kind of freak out a little bit. So So yeah, it definitely depends on you as an individual a little bit. So we have some questions too. I want to make sure we get to those too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yes. Yeah, I think we
yeah.
both have multiple streams of income.
We both have multiple streams of income, but that's actually not something I recommend if you're starting out. I think that you need to focus on
Yeah.
one, establish cash flow with one, make that one thing really amazing. Like Amazon, when they started, they were only, if you have too many things, you're promoting too many things, you're going to confuse everybody. You're going to you're going to um, like overwhelm. Focus on one. One is automated, has a clear structure, and you're getting cash flow from it. Then start diversifying. That's my.
Yeah.
I don't know, Lori, what you think.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I talk about it. I teach, and if you've been following me for any amount of time, you've heard me talk about this, and I call it the power of one. And again, I'm multi-passionate. I do have multiple streams of income, but like Vickie said, like you need to kind of focus on one, get really solid on that before you divert your attention. Because what happens, and I actually just had this conversation in Boxer with one of our members from the Strategy and Support Society this morning. I don't know if you heard that message or not, Vickie, but it was definitely good timing with that. She was asking about multiple streams of income, including retreats, which we know that you know about. But if you divert your attention, you aren't going to get really good at one thing, and then you're going to have multiple streams of income that aren't bringing you money that you're frustrated with. So focus on one thing. And even I want to say this isn't even necessarily just in the beginning, like focusing on one thing at a time, like right now, Strategy and Support Society, as we've mentioned. That is my big focus. So that is where my energy is going right now, because I want to get that up and going. So I think it's not just if you're a new business owner, but every time you start a new stream of income, be able to focus your attention on doing that. And then, like you said, once you have the other thing running in the background, that's there. And then I have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to not focus on my one-on-one coaching now, and I'm going to focus on building this membership, or I don't have to do this because I'm doing that, and that's just happening in the background.
So yeah, 100%. I think that answered the question really well. Does anybody have any other questions that they want to drop in the chat? Again, if you're watching the replay, we'll take the time to answer those throughout the week for sure. Someone said, we just picked up passport applications. We would love to travel. It's interesting to learn that it's possible to also work our online business for other countries. So yeah, of course, you're invited to join the membership and learn more about our lifestyle, learn more about how this can be possible for you. It'll help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one was Dana. Yeah, that was right. Yes, that was Dana. So first of all, congratulations on picking up the passport applications. It is definitely possible. Literally anything that you can imagine, it is possible. It's just about, and Vickie, she said at the beginning, but for those that were not, she is a mindset coach, and she is inside the Strategy and Support Society. And it's important to be able to have that right mindset to do that. But if you are in the mindset that, yeah, I want this is going to happen, it absolutely will. You can master your mindset and overcome those things and make anything that you want possible. So yeah, I'm super excited for you. Congratulations. That's huge to be able to get those passports and start this life. Because if it appeals to you, absolutely possible. Come join us tomorrow for networking and get to know us a little bit better. And we'd love to have any of you inside of the Strategy and Support Society as well, so that we can guide you a little more.
Amazing. Lori, do you have time for one last questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
actually am very lucky today. My schedule is almost completely clear.
That's great. And I think today is the last day for your birthday offer, or is that tomorrow?
It is correct, yes.
Today or tomorrow?
Today is the last day.
So after the last question, maybe we'll wrap up with Lori telling you her special birthday offer. I mean, if you're watching the replay, then the birthday offer might not be on anymore.
No, it might not be, but you know what? Reach out to me because you don't know what other offers I might be having out there. So always, if it appeals to you, reach out and ask me what we have. So if you're watching the replay, and if you're watching live, then reach out to me now.
So last question before we jump into that. What is your number one best tip when you're starting a business?
Ooh, number one tip. It's so hard to narrow it down, but number one tip to feel safe is take the time to get to know what safety means to you, so that you're not constantly doing things that are out of alignment with that. Like, again, as we were saying, if you know that you don't need a savings and you feel okay with that, great. But if you know that you do and you don't have that, and then you try to go do this, you're going to constantly be in that like fight or flight, like just anxious mode, and it's not going to be good. So yeah, that's my tip. Know what safety means to you.
Yay, love it. Be honest with yourself. I think I would be along the same lines. Like I would say, be honest with yourself and do the math. There's so many people that are talking to me and they're like, oh my God, you're so lucky. You're so lucky to be traveling. You're so lucky to be on a boat and never be able to do that. And then we sit down, we do the math, and suddenly it's possible for them too. So do the math. Like, how much does it cost? How much money do you need? And how much work needs to be done? Like, sometimes it doesn't have to be spiritual and mythical and law of attraction. Sometimes it can just be sitting down and doing 1 + 1 and seeing physically that it is possible in this reality,
Yeah. I was just going to add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, I'm just going to add one more thing too, something to consider, that there are different ways when it comes to feeling safe. So maybe I have another tip. So let's say you're someone that needs a certain amount of cash flow, but you're determined to make this happen sooner rather than later. If you can work remotely, or even if you can't, go get a remote job, get a job. There's nothing wrong with having a job, 9 to 5, while you build your business. And if you want to be able to travel, do it remote. You just get a remote job and you can dive into it now while you're building your business at the same time. So you have that safety, you have that security. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's knowing what, again, makes you feel safe. And if it's having a job that gives you $5,000 a month, no matter what, so that you know you have that, that's okay.
Yes. And again, if you're feeling stuck and trapped, message Lori, message me, because we have resources for you. We have tips and tips. For example, I know a company named On Top who matches employees and bosses from different countries, and they take care of all the legal aspects of it. So if you're in Colombia right now, but you're trying to get a remote job in the US, like, they will bridge that gap for you. Stuff like this exists. It's out there. Like, there's Workaway, where you can get a working opportunity in another country, but again, it's completely like safe and regulated. There's trusted house sitters, where you can house sit a house in another country for free while working remote at your own job in another country. So stuff like this exists. So connect with us, come to the networking, come into the membership, and we'll support you, whatever support means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, definitely come to the networking tomorrow if you can, and get to know us a little better.
Yay. So Lori, can we wrap this up with your amazing birthday offer?
Yes. So birthday offers, we had 2 of them. While I might look 20, I turned 44 this year, so they are in line with the birthday number. And the first offer was, as we were talking about, the Strategy and Support Society, as you said, which is very easy to fit into the budget of a nomad. So the monthly enrollment is $147, and for those that enroll by end of day today now, for that you also get a 44-minute one-on-one with me, which is something I would normally charge $400 plus for free. So a one-on-one session to really help you dig into your business, get some strategy in place so that you can start living this lifestyle faster. And the other one, if you're like, hell yes, Lori, I am all in, and you want to work together one-on-one, I am offering 44% off all of my one-on-one packages. Again, through the end of today, we've had some people jump into this, and it is really an amazing deal. And I'm not just saying that, like, I've never offered that amount off on any of my coaching packages before, but I just felt really inspired to do that because I want more people to realize they don't have to just tell us like, oh, it's so amazing that life that you're living. I want to do that. And I want to build a business that allows me to do that. You can, and making it more feasible and affordable for you to do that. So if either of those appeal to you, please send me a message and we can chat about what that would look like. And if you're watching the replay, again, still reach out even if it's after today, which is the 21st. My birthday was the 14th, so we did it for a week, and we can talk about what opportunities we may have for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody enjoyed this live. Thank you for everyone who left a comment. Thank you for everyone who interacted with us. This is so appreciated. Let us know if you want Lori again, and if so, which topic would you like us to discuss? That would be super appreciated. And thank you, Lori, for having me, or did I have you?
We'll be going live again because, as I said, one of the other little perks too, by the way, just one more thing, the Strategy and Support Society, the one-on-one actually includes that membership as well. So either way, you get access to the Strategy and Support Society. And it's not just me, it's not just Vickie. We have 7 coaches and experts there to support you in all areas of your remote-based business. So whether it's marketing, whether it's mindset, whether it's your physical wellness, we even have a yoga instructor in there. So literally every aspect you get. So you'll be seeing more of Vickie as well as myself and the other experts coming and talking to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, everybody. And looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow at Entrepreneur Excursion. Make sure that you register. And if you have trouble finding that, just send us a message and we'll get you the link. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a great